And we're live. You just missed it, people. Hillbilly was playing dueling banjos on a guitar. It's kind of weird. I don't know why his neighbor started playing too, but we won't ask him that. Like that's
You do have a perfect mouth, JR. How about you come on over here, my little boy?
All right. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just three nerdy veterans geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guests, this lovely panel of peoples, introduce themselves. And because I can read, we're going to do this in alphabetical order, so you get all confused if you're watching the screen. Are you ready for this, people?
Maybe.
All right. Mr. Christopher Woods, can you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, you just did. Anyway, I'm Christopher Woods, and I write sci-fi and fantasy and military sci-fi, and most recently some post-apocalyptic car warriors. And
you're not done yet. Where's my book?
It's almost done. It's almost done. Calm down. And I love to write.
Okay. Does he have a pretty mouth, Hillbilly? Are you satisfied with him as well?
No, he's too old for me. He's a curmudgeon.
All right. Next, we have a Mr. David Handley. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners? All 12 people out in internet land?
Yeah, I'm David Handley. I write military fantasy, military sci-fi, post-apocalyptic sci-fi. Again, most recently, the part of the Auto Duel Chronicles, Dead Man's Run. The book is 72 Hours of Graceland. I've been trying to tell stories since I was, slightly big enough to walk, and just recently started getting into telling them professionally.
Okay. Is that professionally? By that you mean trying to get out of like speeding tickets? Because I tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, it turns out that if you have your wife along and she's yelling at you, the police officer just gives you a warning and walks away.
You've been punished enough, really.
There's actually some of the cops videos online. This guy actually gets pulled over and he was on the phone with his girlfriend. So because his tail light was out or something. And he's like, "I'm going to be late, honey. The cops pulled me over." And she didn't believe him. So she demands to talk to the cop.
Oh,
and then
no.
when he talks to the cop, she starts cussing at him too.
Oh.
And he just looked at the guy and he goes, "You're going to have a rough enough night. Just please.
Just go. Please leave."
That's
So
hilarious.
it wasn't planned. It was perfectly executed anyway.
Wow.
So I got the impression that was his life, and I felt bad for him. But speaking of not feeling bad for people, we have Miss Marissa Wolf, who sometimes throws alligators at people.
It's true. That was a rough segue, though. I will not yell at cops for you people. Yes, I have my own alligator now, thanks to Mark and Joy Laundry. I am Marissa Wolf. I write science fiction and fantasy. I am a bringer of shenanigans on and off the page. And I get to write in the Auto Duels universe. I'm pretty excited. I also have written in other shared universes like The Four Horsemen and Salvage Title and Fallen World. Some people on this might be familiar with those. And in early next year, I will have my first very own novel in my very own universe come out from Baen called Beyond Enemies.
Haven't you also written in the some spaceship computer game world? Like, I seem to remember we had you on for that as well.
I did. I also wrote in Starflight, which is really fun. I really enjoy tie-in fiction. It's super fun.
It is. It can be. And it's a good way to get your start. So I'm not complaining. I did the same thing. Last but not least, we have Mr. Dueling Banjos himself, the man with the pretty mouth, Mr. William Joseph Roberts.
What you want me to say?
I mean, long walks on the beach or, whatever you do. I don't judge.
Pina colada, yeah. Getting caught
So for anybody that does not know who I am William Joseph Roberts. I write sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and anything the evil mind squirrels demand of me, and I am the lead publisher at Three Ravens Publishing. We got a lot of crap going on right now, but it's good crap.
It's good crap. That's going to be on his business card in all of the ad copy.
It's crap, but it's good crap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next part of the introduction, dear listeners, how we first found them. So I found William Joseph Roberts through our friend Cisca, Doc. And I actually interviewed all of them, but they all came through Doc at one point in time. So we'll blame her if you're not happy with this episode. And bonus points, she's not here to defend herself because she's doing like house and dragon stuff.
Oh, yeah. And she's like sending an email back to Regina and all that because she's got to be responsible.
Yeah, and it would be even cooler if she had a house dragon, but she doesn't. Because,
I know that would be super cool. Somebody get Cisca a house dragon.
Yes, make that happen, people.
Yes.
And film it. Because
Yes.
if it eats them, we totally want that on camera.
We can make that happen.
Okay. I'm sure some redneck ingenuity would make things possible. So I expect big things from you, Hillbilly. All right.
You look at one of those neck dragons.
He's getting ideas.
Things are happening.
So, it's never good to have somebody with ADHD that's got all this crap around that they can play with. Because, there's certain things called neck dragons that JF Posthumous makes that are based out of her Lady of Death series. So, yeah, we could get Cisca a dragon.
I was thinking more like lizardy and alive, but I mean, stuffed animals are cool too.
So like a Komodo dragon.
Look at that. I mean, that's some cool fur.
That's cool.
I'm not saying roadkill was involved, but I'm not saying it either. All right.
You said redneck ingenuity, and
I did, and I don't judge. I mean,
if it's still warm, it's fair game for the stew pot, man.
I mean, I've had possum before, and it won't bad. All right.
I gotta be hungry to eat possum.
I mean, in the Army, you learn just to eat it and not ask questions.
This is true.
Although there is a guy who has a YouTube channel where he eats like 100-year-old rations. Like, I mean,
yeah, I've seen that guy, and watching him eat through this stuff is like, it's hilarious, and at the same time, it's kind of surprising that it's still good.
What's even more surprising is he's not dead.
That part, yeah. That's right.
I'm just looking at him. I'm like, I mean, I'm just seeing botulism and all the bad things. Like, how are you alive, person? But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the Car Wars series in the Car Wars universe. So, Hillbilly, we had you on to talk about Burning Roads not that long ago, and then you up and done it, and you started a Kickstarter. So, first, what is the Kickstarter? Like, what are you selling? Are you like coming to dance in uniform for these people, or tuning up their hot rod, or what?
Stretch goal, yeah.
Oh, it's stretch goal. Okay.
Well, Handley's book is already in. Mine's already published. Burning Roads is already published. Christopher Wood's Marathon of Madness is nearly done. Those are the first 3 novels in the series. And we're working on the Go Hard or Go Home anthology, which I sent you the image to just a minute ago. And those are going to be the first ones for this year that are published. With the stretch goals that got unlocked already, we're doing limited edition hardbacks. There was I forgot all the. We blew through a whole crap ton of stretch goals like in no time. It's like the thing funded in 3 hours. This is the very first Kickstarter that I've ever done, so I'm learning as I'm going. But it blew through the initial funding in 3 hours and unlocked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Unlocked 10 stretch goals in the first day. I'm like, what the hell? Then the next one was $2,500 to unlock Jody Lynn Nye as the lead editor for the Car Wars anthology.
So awesome.
And I sent Jody a message, told her she was unlocked, and my power has been unleashed. And it was just funny as hell when she sent the email back. But challenge coins have been unlocked. 3D custom models of the cars from Burning Roads that I'm going to model up next. But the next one it's on the list, $5,000 stretch goal, was the lead character Tuckerization. We've already had somebody, they bought the red shirt, the secondary character, and the primary supporting character Tuckerizations. It's like, okay, cool.
Nice.
I'm expecting that person to jump on that one as soon as it goes available.
So you set the standard, or set the initial bar for entry relatively low at $500. So what was the base ask for? Like, you were just looking for basic editing and cover? Well, that's not even covers and editing.
I mean, just editing help, really. And part of what I was doing was I'm trying to get into another social media platform. Kickstarter unto itself is a social media platform. And there's a whole other range of people that just hang out there. So, that's just part of what I was going for. Plus, it's the first one. So I'm testing the waters. I'm getting my feet wet and seeing how all this works and trying to understand all of the information. I mean, there's so much information in here that trying to decipher it is just about insane sometimes. But there's a lot of analytics to sit here and look at and go through. It's telling me where people are, when they're hitting it. All these other little details, and it's interesting information. So I'm getting a little more insight to the type of people that are jumping on things like this.
Okay. So first, since we are talking about the worlds of the Car Wars universe, which is its own thing, can you tell us, and we'll go through around and get everyone to do it, how you first found this property? Because I imagine if you bought it, the rights to publish the fiction, Hillbilly, that you were a fan of it already. So what was your experience with the game that was the basis for this world?
Very limited, honestly. This whole thing started out, what was it? Dragon Con last year, hanging out with Steve Jackson. We went to Dakota Kraut's thing that he had over at Medieval Times, and I had a +1. Like, hey, Steve, you want to go? Like, okay, cool. So I took Steve along, and we went and hung out at Medieval Times, had dinner, had a great show, just hung out and shot the shit. Well, driving out there from the hotel and then driving back, just trying to have conversation. And it's like, so, out of all your game universes and stuff that you got set up, what would lend itself to fiction? And I mean, without missing a beat, it was Car Wars. And we got to talking about it. And by the time Dragon Con was over with, we're really talking about it. And then come November, I've got a licensing contract.
Okay.
I mean, it was a totally different thing from the whole Starflight contracting. I mean, I contacted Rod McConnell that owns the IP still for Starflight, and he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And that was it. Like, okay, so I worked up a basic contract, sent it to him. He sent it back, good luck, and that was it. I'm like, okay, cool, we're playing in Starflight, let's roll with this. But it was a whole other night and day when it come down to going through the contract. I mean, me and the two partners, Ben Smith and RJ Layden, we went through that contract probably 7 times, line by line, making sure that we understood and we agreed on everything, and marking through what we needed to mark through, changing, making notes, asking questions. So a lot of learning curve, but it was good learning curve. Steve walked me through a lot of it just because. So I had the benefit of him just walking me through and helping me learn how this legalese and everything on these contracts are done. Aside from here, we're doing a legal deal, he was hooking me up as a friend to show me, hey, this is what you need to look out for, and this is this, and this is what that means, and it's been a beautiful learning experience.
Okay, and I have on the screen, if you're watching this instead of listening, the cover for Go Hard or Go Home, which is the anthology which was unlocked, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the cover for it. It's glorious art. It's definitely a blast from the past. It has that 1980s art vibe, so I'm digging it. Did you have the artists from the original game content that you hire, or did they managed to pull that look?
The initial cover artist that I had, he flaked on me. He had life happen and it just didn't work. So I had to cut him loose, and somebody else pointed me in the direction of their cover artist, and he's the one that did the Burning Roads cover. He also did this, and I was going for that movie poster like Bullet or Smokey and the Bandit, that kind of feel, that watercolor, and I mean, dude pulled it off amazingly. I sent this to Steve as soon as it came in. I sent it to Bill Fawcett and Jody Lynn and I. They were like, holy crap, that's cool. So, it's hitting the mark. Same thing with the cover for Burning Roads. People have loved it.
So are all the stories turned in already for the anthology?
No. There are 3 names missing from that cover that I will not mention because I am not going to jinx it. So we'll see. And I hope they come in because I really want them on that cover. So
Okay.
we got to tap some people from our side. Jody got to tap people from her side. And it's going to look pretty when I put those names on there.
Okay. So we'll pop back out to the group feed. So we'll go to you first, David. So what was your first experience with the Car Wars universe? Was it when Hillbilly approached you, or were you a fan of the game?
Honestly, I've been a tabletop role playing guy since like the 5th grade, so somewhere around like 1985 or 86. And when I got in the Navy and got out to Hampton Roads, I got introduced to GURPS, and I picked up a copy of this bad boy here, GURPS Auto Duel, which is post-apocalyptic setting, and we were doing role playing games in the Car Wars universe. So I never played the tabletop game until we got together at LibertyCon and ended up playing around the Car Wars there. But had been
y'all were playing the 6th edition at Liberty.
Yeah,
right?
6th ed. Yeah, I've not played any of the other editions, but Steve Jackson was kind enough to provide us with access to all of his back catalog of information on the Car Wars universe, which is all of the other iterations of the game. And so it was really cool to be able to dig into that, all of that back information, to use it to inform the stories for the Dead Man's Run series.
Okay. Is the Car Wars on the GURPS engine, or is it its own thing?
I know Car Wars is its own thing. GURPS, like, I've talked to Steve about this a little bit, and he had suggested use GURPS for the role playing game aspect, and when you get to combat, or vehicular combat, like use Car Wars, because it just plays a lot smoother.
Yeah, this is the big box set.
Nice.
Nice.
And as a tabletop war game kind of thing, like it's super beer and pretzels, easy to pick up. And it's a great game. Like I've been doing tabletop gaming, war gaming, since the mid 90s. And Car Wars is definitely some of the most fun I've had on a tabletop without having to spend hours and hours digging through, tomes of rules.
So does it have a similar vibe for you to some of the like mech combat type games?
It's less crunchy than like Mech Warrior or what is the other one? War Machine, I think it is.
Yeah, War Machine was another one of them.
Yeah, it's less crunchy than those, because like with Mech Warrior, you got to manage heat and keep track of ammo and that kind of stuff. With 6th edition Car Wars, you're not really keeping track of a lot of those things. It's a lot more action oriented. The fighting is fast and furious.
Easy to track on.
Yeah, you got like a little dashboard that tracks your tire wear and some other things like that.
Yeah, you're not digging.
Okay. So what about you, Christopher Woods? Did you have any experience with the Car Wars before you got approached for these books? Or
No,
did
I
Hillbilly
didn't.
hook you?
I didn't. I'd never really heard of it. I've never been a tabletop gamer until lately, and I've got a friend who lives over near Chattanooga named Rich Groller. He's a programmer for LibertyCon, and that dude is if you want to play a game, he's got it.
That's awesome.
So I've been doing a lot of work for him over the last, I guess, 5 or 6 years. So we finally, Hillbilly brought the Car Wars game up to Rich Growler's where we could play it. And it's that big box that he has back there that he was showing you a minute ago. He brought that up and laid it out on the big gaming table, and we played it. And that's the only time I've ever played, is the one time, and I won.
Nice. Can't ever play again.
Figured I don't want to play anymore because I'll go out on top here. I'll stop while I'm ahead.
Undefeated.
I dig that. I can appreciate that. And it totally wasn't beginner's luck. He had a strategy. It worked out perfectly.
Right.
He planned it and executed it most amazingly.
100%.
All right.
Yeah, what I did was I got damaged so badly that I was stuck in one spot, and everybody took all this time to line up so they could shoot me and put me out of the game, and they just didn't understand that I still had guns. And my single turn, I took out both players that were left. It was awesome.
That's really great.
Shut up.
Is that making any one of your stories?
No, it hasn't yet.
Oh, hold on.
There you go.
Hold on.
There's the dashboard I was trying to find.
All right, show that. I've got you on the screen. All right, can you hold that? So How does that work? Is it a spin wheel?
Well, no, you got you'll have a tracker that sits in here for your tires, your is this the yeah, this is the
Speed, tires, and power plant.
tires, speed, and then power plants over here for, and then on the outside is your armors.
Okay.
And it depends on what the build is and all that, but this makes it really easy to track, so you can just play the game instead of having to worry about all the math. I mean, when I first started playing Car Wars, which is after Dragon Con, and I got a copy from Steve and sat down and played it with the kids, and it's like, this is a lot like BattleTech. Because I used to play a crap ton of BattleTech back in the day. And, especially once I started digging into all that information Dave was talking about, that we got all the old manuals from Car Wars. So I started looking in there and reading through it and how the game is operated and all this and that. I'm like, holy crap, this is BattleTech. It's a different flavor. It's the same kind of thing, it's a vehicular combat situation.
Okay. All right. So what about you, Marissa? What was your experience with the wild world of Car Wars?
Yeah, it was Hillbilly's pitch. He was like, "Hey, how do you feel about Steve Jackson, Mad Max, and Thunderdome?" And I was like, check, check, check. I love all of those things. And he was like, "Great. You want to write in this world?" And I was like, "Okay." So
I had to spend a lot of rocks to bribe her to come along.
I mean, I'll also take rocks. But I mean, who's going to say no to Mad Max, Thunderdome, Steve Jackson? I mean, come on. And they're these little model cars. They're so fun. Yeah, it's so fun. So I hadn't played before, but I am easily swayed by fun props. And so rocks and little mini cars that are badass, I'm in. So, yeah. And post-apocalyptic. That's my jam.
Okay. So what was the learning curve like for all of you with this world? Like, to get you up to par? Because from our interview with Hillbilly, and if you haven't watched his Burning Roads interview, you should hop on over. But for those of you who did, what was the learning curve to get caught up to the point where you could write? Because from what Hillbilly has said, Steve Jackson is involved in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has not just washed his hands of the property like some people do, which hopefully in theory means he's maintaining all the quality of the universal integrity.
Oh yeah, he is. And we're following the footsteps of Tor, Marvel, and TSR. TSR had a choose your own adventure setup. Marvel had a comic series for a little while, Car Warriors, and then Tor had 3 books that came out. David Drake wrote the first one. I got it over there someplace, but they didn't do well, and it was fiction, but it wasn't Car Wars. Steve is getting approvals on all these stories because it's his baby. And if he's not happy with the stories, then we're doing something wrong, trying to adhere to 40 years worth of lore and canon while bringing, I keep saying, we're writing the Saturday morning cartoon to sell the toy. Mm-hmm. It's part of the gig too. But it's got to appeal to the old school Car Wars gamers. You got to bring that vibe to it and the feel.
Okay. So what is, for people that aren't familiar with the property, what is the vibe and the feel for this universe?
Things go boom. Yeah, drive offensively.
It's a little cyberpunky. Like, mm-hmm. without all it, like, there's not as much of like the cyborg, although I think some people may be working some of that in. Like, there's not so much of the human upgrades, it's more of the car upgrades. But it's got that, like, the corporations are running things. There's a lot of bored people looking for entertainment, and death games are the way to do it. I mean, the vibe is very like, your basic needs are taken care of, but that's it. That's all you get. So how are you making life exciting? There's a cool cloning thing, so Yeah,
it's kind of Outlaw Josie Wales meets Blade Runner.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that Steve said early on, that Car Wars is really a Western.
Mm-hmm. With bigger guns.
Yeah, with a lot bigger guns. Autocannons!
And more horses under the hood than
Exactly.
So, I jokingly, and I thought I was being tongue in cheek, called this episode Road Rage 101 because when I taught the offensive driving for units running gun trucks in Iraq, that's what we called it, was Road Rage 101. So it sounds like that's actually what you guys are putting in your stories, is a little bit of, your traffic hostilities that you sit down and write.
Yeah.
So is there any other elements of fiction that you're including? Are there romance subplots, intrigue, politics, genetic engineering, space exploration? Like, what all can we expect from this world?
It wouldn't be a world without romance. I mean, that
sure. How do you get more babies?
Humans, that it drives people to do things. There's the character in my book is doing this whole race thing so he can save his girlfriend. Nice. Hensley's guy is trying to save his wife. So there's romance involved. Romance drives it.
Oh yeah, love of your life.
Drives
terminal illness that can only be, and they hook you in with a corporate deal to run a race. What do you do?
Yeah. Hensley's, you're going to love 72 Hours to Graceland. I think it's better than mine, but I'm also pretty prejudiced against all my stuff.
Sure.
So,
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to.
I don't have romance in mine, at least not in book one. But I do have a twin swap and some nefarious murder. So there's some shenanigans to be sure.
I mean, isn't murder by definition nefarious? I mean,
well, sure, but then you get like corporations involved, and you don't know who killed them, and
Well, there's righteous murder, and then there's unrighteous.
This is pretty unrighteous.
Well, I mean, some of us are in the South, and we have that expression, he just needed killing.
I mean,
sometimes it's okay. We just want to ask.
There you go. That's why I'm clarifying. Nefarious.
So what kind of weaponry, because you mentioned bigger guns, what kind of weapons are we talking about?
20mm Vulcan mini cannons.
3mm Gauss auto cannons.
All right, I'll be in my bunk. Keep going.
Artillery pieces, like 135 mil artillery rounds.
So I have been near those when they go off. So how do you adjust when you're writing these? Because I've been near some of those cannons when they go off. There's a little bit of a recoil, just a little bit with those. So are you factoring that in when you're writing your stories? Like, oh, he fired and suddenly he's back 50 feet, even though he was going on his car. Like, how are you factoring all that in?
Hey, Woods, you want to talk about that one scene that we had to discuss? Go ahead. You can give a little teaser on that.
All right. Well, there's a point where they've got a semi involved in this, and the guy who built this semi is insane. He put a what is it called, a GAU, whatever the gun is that's in an A10.
Okay.
He mounted it in a semi.
Yep.
And when he fired it, it brought the truck to a complete stop, and it was doing 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
But yeah, I figured in some kick on these weapons.
Some math.
Yeah. Heck, I've got a scene where our heroes get shelled by 205mm heavy artillery, and it's being serviced by a friggin' motorcycle gang. And well, they're not Army, and they've not been trained on it, and they don't have nearly enough crew, which is what goes ahead and gives our heroes enough time to actually deal with the problem. If they'd had the proper crew, they could have blasted our heroes into little bitty bits, but they didn't, so they don't.
Now the run out of the what was it, the boardwalk amusement park? What was it called there? The big gorilla. The big gorilla.
The big gorilla from Ocean Breeze Water
Breeze.
Park.
Oh,
yeah, the cannibals.
Yeah, that whole scene, the escape coming out of there, that was beautiful, dude.
Yeah. The art is good. I'm going through what's on the Kickstarter.
There's a bunch of art in there that is AI generated, but that was inspirational art that we were using to spur ideas for the writers. So a lot of those that are dropped in on the Kickstarter there, well, not that one, but all those others, they're just from the inspirational art because we had them available. But it pulls the vibe, it pulls the mood.
Okay. I'm digging the art. It's well done. I'm assuming the Car Warriors, the Auto Duel Chronicles, at least is specific to your IP.
Yeah, that's specific. That J.F. Posthumous actually created that for me.
She does good work. So we had to hire her when our cover artist in a pinch went and made his wife have a baby, and
Oh wow,
couldn't do his deal.
Whole
And I'm like,
producing,
I was supposed to have this cover a while ago, and she came through. So she's got some skills.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I draw stick figures, but she's got skills. So for the art for the rest of the books, are they going to be the same vein as the one for Burning Roads? Are they going to each have their own vibe? Like, how are you going to keep the continuity both in the series and true to the universe?
The starting books for Dead Man's Run are all going to be that car, crew, kind of, just the profile. Let's see who they are. Books 2 and 3 for the Burning Roads, because we're all doing trilogies. It's going to be more of an action piece, but it's still going to be in that same colored vein with that watercoloring style and all that. And I've actually been really thinking about maybe dialing it back to where it's more like those old movie posters, like Bullet and things like that.
Or the old action series like Destroyer, Mac Bolan, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we get around to doing the second ones, and I'm going to really, really look at it hard, but the first books for the Dead Man's Run, I want the crews and the cars, so we got them up front, we got them shown.
Okay. So what with what you're doing in the books, is that going to be able to be playable for people that own the game? How is that going to for crossover?
Yes. Well, one, now that we've actually unlocked the stretch goal, I'll be doing some 3D modeling and making up some models for these cars. So I'll be doing Sally, the Buffalo, the Black Skulls sedan, things like that. Depending on how far the stretch goals go, then I'll start modeling cars out of Handley's and Wood's books. And the only reason I'm using theirs and the Antho is because those are the ones planned for this year. So,
okay. Well, while you think about what you're going to say next, we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly shill for the man. Wait, is there a woman at Three Ravens Press as well? Because I don't want to be sexist.
yes, there's actually three of us at Three Ravens Publishing.
Okay, so the man and the women and stuff. Here's the commercial.
Atlanta cabbie by day, amateur auto duelist by night. Ricky Turner is living the dream. That is, until he wakes up in a Gold Cross facility to discover his last match was more than a failure. It was a fatality. Indebted for the cost of the clone body and reboot, Ricky heads back to the arena to do the one thing he knows how to do: drive offensively. But at the rate amateur matches pay out, it'll take several lifetimes to pay his debt. Luckily, the AADA has announced a new nationwide road rally designed to challenge even the hardiest of auto-dueling teams. Dead Man's Run. Can Ricky and his clandestine crew traverse the wasteland from Atlanta to Sturgis, survive against packs of cannibals, roving biker gangs, and amateur auto-duelists out to make a name for themselves? Welcome to the world of the Car Warriors Auto Duel Chronicles. Tales from the freeways of the future, where the right-of-way goes to the biggest guns and death sports rule the airwaves. From clandestine highway battles to primetime arena combat, jump behind the wheel, follow the fast-paced action, and never forget to drive offensively.
When they say drive offensively, they mean in the game, people, because if you get a ticket, they are not responsible.
True.
I really want you to know that Steve Jackson Games has better lawyers than you, so don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right. So that was sorry about the glitch, and I don't know why it did that, dear listener, but we're going to blame the squirrels in his attic, because Hillbilly has squirrels in his attic. He doesn't know it, though.
What glitch? It played fine on this side.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks good for us.
Yeah, it looked good from my end.
Oh, it was glitching on my end. Okay, so hopefully the viewers didn't see that. Fingers crossed. But if they do, we're blaming the squirrels in your attic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was the original question? I don't remember now.
So how much of what you're writing in these games could be transferred into, I mean, for these novels, could be transferred by someone if they wanted to play the game?
A lot of it. I mean, really, we're basing the scenarios on what's already existing in universe.
Okay.
If somebody wants to just do the arena battles, that's been requested more than a few times already for details on the arena battles, stats on the cars. So when I do the models for the cars, I'll get Irene over at Steve Jackson Games to help me work up the stats, and that way we can pass those along in the file with the STLs that they can pass out. But the arena battles, yeah, we're going to try to write those down and put them in a form that can be utilized. I don't know how official, or if it's just going to be, hey, here's some information, go with it. So that's to be determined. But absolutely, if somebody wants to sit down and do their own Dead Man's Run, take your city of choice starting position, figure out those challenges between, and you RPG it from start to finish, 3 different legs, then go for it. Make your characters suffer and make your players suffer all the way through, because that's what we do.
I mean, you're kind of describing emotional sadism, but we'll move on.
Kind of.
So just a little bit.
How many authors do you know that don't make their characters suffer?
I mean, maybe if they have clean romance or something.
Well, no, there's suffering
suffer.
there too. There's emotional suffering there.
There's tension.
I wouldn't know. I don't read it. It's confusing, all those emotions. All right. So what is the Dead Man's Run? So you mentioned that before. You talked about it in your interview about Burning Roads. So can you tell people what this race that they're running is?
Dead Man's Run is a little bit of a paying homage back to the origins of Car Wars. So Death Race 2000, the original with David Carradine, it's basically Cannonball Run with guns. It's a cross-country road rally where you have to get through all these challenges and make it to the end point for the final challenge. So between all of us core authors, which myself, Woods, Hensley, Marisa, who else was core on this?
Was Morton?
Smith?
Morton. Smith isn't anymore. He's busy with some life stuff. So he's going to just do his as a separate side tangent, kind of adjacent to the Dead Man's Run. I think Jay Barnes was actually writing a Dead Man's Run section 2.
Nice.
But we got a lot of other side tangent stories that are happening kind of adjacent and a roundabout. So there's going to be mentions back and forth. But we're all starting out different starting cities. Like Woods' characters, their first leg of the run from Knoxville to Memphis is hell on earth. Where my guys going from Atlanta up to Toledo, Ohio, isn't horribly bad, but they still get hammered pretty bad. But my next leg is going to be even worse. It's they have to do these 3 stages, and each leg of the race is one of the books. So we're each doing trilogies for this. I don't know. Lots of carnage, lots of car combat, lots of things blowing up, lots of bad guys dead.
Oh yeah.
So that way we're not letting Hillbilly hog all the time. We brought the rest of you authors on that are part of this as well. So what all, and you can jump in at any, what all did you guys add to the universe in your own novels? Because you can't write in someone else's world without bringing your own flair. So what did you add to expand the Car Wars universe with your contribution?
Cannibals that ride bikes powered by biodiesel made from human fat.
All right. First rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club, but
yeah, no follow-up questions.
Okay, so
we all brought in some cannibals because there were some at the Speedway in Nashville too.
Yep.
I am not bringing in cannibals. I don't know. Actually, I just started this week.
You gotta bring some cannibals.
We'll see. Well, there'll be alligators. Maybe they eat people.
Yeah, I had cannibals around Elyria, Ohio.
So I'm just going to ask you, David, I know you served in the Navy as well, so I'm guessing you have access to the VA. I'm just saying, does your shrink know what you're writing?
I don't have a shrink. I fired him.
Well, maybe you should rehire him. I'm just saying.
Oh, no. That was
all right.
down.
So what do you think for the first book in your trilogy, Marissa? What, like, obviously this is pure speculation if it's not written yet, so nobody can hold you to it if it changes. But what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I already had to run the outline by Steve Jackson, so I'm a little tied to what I have. There is going to be some extreme corporate nonsense in mine. So the corporate interference to tweak the game for maximum distraction or profit or both is definitely going to play a role. I blame Shadowrun, honestly.
Okay. So which corporation inspired the evil enterprise you're creating?
Yes.
All of them. Okay.
I mean,
I'm just saying a little bit of People of Walmart action going on could make an interesting story.
yeah, or any of these giant monopolies that are big old assholes.
All right. What about you, Christopher? What did you bring to the world that wasn't there before you added it?
Well, the Tennessee Titans Authority. That's a new one.
Okay, go on.
And the Tennessee is like the lawless lands on the map that Steve Jackson provided for us. So I combined the TVA as a company that took over a bunch of others and became the Tennessee Titan Authority. And they're the corporation that's in control of Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Memphis, mostly anyway. And they've got some, like Marissa said, some corporate shenanigans going on. And I brought in like recreational cannibals. They aren't like full-time cannibals like Hensley's cannibals, but they're blue faced,
really.
and they eat people occasionally, so that was
ceremonial.
Point of order. It's like being a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit of a cannibal. You're a cannibal, or you're not a cannibal.
Or you aren't.
Yeah,
well, I mean, that's what I say. I mean, they're recreational cannibals. That's all I can use to describe them because
just for the taste of it.
So they didn't actually swallow; they just kind of tasted.
Inhaled. What?
They announced before the race even started that they're going to catch all the participants and eat them on live television.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as you do. So did any of you incorporate the evil, vast corporate enterprise known as the DMV into your story?
Oh, that didn't make it through the apocalypse.
No.
Oh.
No.
Nobody wanted the DMV.
No.
It was too evil.
It's too evil.
Even for cannibals. For cannibals.
Too evil even for cannibals. So how do you guys handle like the maintenance of the road? Because that's the one thing everyone forgets in apocalypse is food will go bad on shelves, gas won't last forever. If you get rid of totally everything, we're talking, almost Stone Age. So how did you maintain that in this post-apocalypse so there is something to work with?
I actually started my book out with the road crews.
Okay.
My guy is a guard on the road crews. Taking a road crew job is very dangerous. Your life expectancy is less than 2 years. They have a Gold Cross re-upload available to them, and most of them are clones. But they keep these squadrons of people out there guarding the clones who are fixing the roads all through Tennessee.
So if clones exist in this universe, does anybody dive into the idea, are you really you if you're a clone?
Yeah.
Or are you someone?
Yeah.
I've got a lot of that in mind. I'm from, my guy's from the religious area of Eastern Tennessee. So of course there's going to be people who don't believe that a clone is actually them. And it's actually it's brought up quite a few times in the story.
Okay. So what did you add, Hillbilly, to the worlds that wasn't already there with your story Burning Roads?
Well, I mean, we kicked it off with adding in super chats and things like that, updated it with drones and a lot of tech that wasn't already existing in universe.
Well, that makes sense given when this game was originally made.
Yeah, I mean, the game originally came out in 1980. Hell, video chats hadn't even been invented yet. Now, that was something only in science fiction. I mean, what we're doing right now, we're living in what we grew up as science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you put in the clutch feed, and we started. So
Well, yeah, that's
all
part of the
use
super
that.
chats, and it was supposed to be like a Twitch channel, Twitch feed. But you got the super chats going on where you got people chatting back and forth and commenting, and you can donate and you can gift them so much stuff. And my character realizes it when he's on stage towards the very end, just before the big battle at the end of the book, because the host of the pregame show, he's like, yeah, that's what all that is right there. You didn't know that you've had $20,000 deposited in your account? No. Okay, cool. Thank you. And he's thanking them as it's up on the screen.
So what do they do with that money? Is it something they can use to buy upgrades as they go?
Yeah, they can buy ammo, repairs, any new parts and pieces. And pulling a little bit of Hunger Games too, where sponsors can send in donations. They can send in equipment and gear and things like that.
Okay. So is there like in this universe anywhere where they go to train, or is this all a bunch of rookies living and dying on their first run?
Yes.
All of the above?
Yes,
it depends on the company, on the pack that
sponsor,
you're in.
yeah.
Yeah. The one who sponsored mine just took rookies who won amateur night. David's took a living legend.
Yeah, tell us about your character, Dave.
Well, mine, there's the Luxford Drummond Automotive is the sponsor for the Mid-Atlantic region for Dead Man's Run, and they go ahead and in order to bring fans back to the sport, they go track down a guy named Bobby Hank, whose dueling name was the Pale Rider, and he was basically an auto duel legend, famous for having never had to be downloaded into a clone, and just kind of dropped off the radar because his wife got sick with this incurable disease that even cloning can't fix. And so they offer him, kind of make him a deal he can't refuse to bring him back, which is, hey, we can get your wife into a research project, and you make this run for us. As long as the Luxford Drummond quest completes the race, like, we're happy. And at the same time, they went ahead and brought in another couple of legends, Headsman and Black Dragon, who are these from Big League Unlimited Dueling side of the house, which are kind of the hardcore, like, everybody should die in the arena sort of duelists. And they brought them along with a mix of veterans and some rookies.
Okay. So you mentioned corporations. So the event, the races are sponsored by various companies that send in their teams to compete. Is that how this works?
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. I mean, some are just rookies that are chosen. Like, everybody has to send in an application and get approved. My guy, he had enough of a rep, even as a rookie, that they picked him because he was kind of controversial at the time.
Okay. So why was he controversial? Can you tell us that without spoilers?
Another team illegally killed him, and then it kind of looked like he was coming back for vengeance. So he ends up with the moniker Ricky the Ripper.
Okay. That works. I mean, I can dig it. It's definitely it ties back to some certain vivid imageries from London. We'll leave it at that. We are a family-friendly show. So is this all gun combat, or do you, speaking of the Ripper, do you incorporate in like blades, I don't know, chainsaws to the front of the cars, that sort of thing?
I don't think anybody's in. No, wait. In a few of the short stories, there were some buzzsaw blades on the front of the cars.
So pure battle, like go full battle bot kind of thing?
Yeah. But otherwise, it's guns, it's energy weapons. There's lasers, there's Gauss cannons, flamers.
There might be a pretty good sized battle with some axes.
There what?
I said there might be a pretty good sized little skirmish with some axes.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
So are there any official rules for these races other than don't die and finish?
The basic rules are the packs are to work together to succeed and complete each of the challenges. So they're not competing against each other, but at the very end they are. So whoever's earned the most points is the winning team out of the packs. And you earn points by your kills, disabling vehicles, destruction of hardened facilities. There's all these different points, and they can earn bonus points by crazy maneuvers, doing things that are just insane. I had my guys, they earned some extra points by just being kind to an unfortunate family, by sharing what little bit of food they had, so you get the compassion points and stuff like that they're earning the audience points, because the audience gets a vote on so many points to give around to the different pack or the teams in the packs.
Also, my girls are going to have some traps, so they can't use them against the pack, but they're going to be out on the open road, and those areas are not patrolled or safe. So, you have a little, it's like all the dreams I've ever had in traffic. So you got a little hatch that opens, and maybe there's an oil slick situation, or maybe some cow traps get dropped out, or, different kinds of things that'll fuck up people trying to chase them. So sorry, that'll mess up people.
Minds.
You F-bomb JR's podcast, man.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure I've said worse, but I don't know. We'll pretend.
Maybe they mess it up.
Not to, but I mean, we've got two grunts and an army medic as the host. Stuff happens.
Yeah,
right.
So she's not here, so it's going to be cleaner than if she was here.
Here to help, Cisca.
Actually, the worst language drops we've had is a friend of Marissa's, Casey. You might know her. She's one of two that we had to mark NSFW.
That's awesome.
Wait,
and that was recorded on a Sunday. So Doc was like, you got to go to church after this, right?
Wow.
No,
Casey's worse than I am.
She probably went to church.
Yeah, that episode was it's out there still if you want to dig up Casey Azell. She's also got the record. She beat David Weber for the longest episode.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
She's so great.
It was over 2 hours. I mean, at that point, you get a little bit of a pass because if you lasted that long.
How did you get David to hush?
Doc has her ways, and I didn't ask questions.
David Rowland, man, he's like, it's auto-perpetuating.
Well, see, this interview with David wasn't about Honor Harrington. It was about the kerfuffle that happened at some convention this year. I can't even remember, MarsCon. So, there was a lot more of a serious aspect to it. I think that helped. I mean, that did give Casey an unfair advantage. But, all right. So, because we've got Marissa over here dropping F-bombs and throwing alligators, what would the age range for these books in this universe be? For people that are saying, like, I've got kids that are very streeters, when would you safely say let them read these books?
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13. I mean, it all depends on how you raise your kids. I got a bunch of crew dogs. I mean, seriously, we got a dick tank on the fridge or the freezer because they drew it. So it all depends on how you raise your kids.
Follow-up questions.
You don't want to know the answers to those questions, really.
Follow-up questions.
You ever seen the helicopter image?
I said no follow-up questions, and yes.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of showed that to them, and they're like, "Oh, I can do better." Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll send you a picture later. But yeah, PG-13. I mean, there's a little bit of language. There's no sexual at all. I mean, that's not the point.
Mostly just violence.
It's violent, yeah. But most kids these days with most video games, they're already kind of desensitized to that and gore.
And it's not gore, right? So it might be like somebody gets their arm chopped off. Oh no! But we're not going to describe in detail the blood splatter and the
right
everything.
Yeah.
According to the rules I just recently read, we're not.
Wait, the rules that you just recently skimmed?
Reread is what I said. Reread.
Wait, hey, Marissa, where's my novel?
Yeah, end of September, as agreed.
Love you.
Yeah, love you.
All right. So if for all of you, get a second, you're trying to sell the Kickstarter and your novel in it, and go. You got a 30-second elevator pitch. Since you were just talking, we're gonna let you go first, Marissa, before you fall asleep on us. I'm told you turn into a pumpkin soon.
I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin. So I have my alligators. I'm ready to sleep. Okay, 30 seconds. The Karmas have been invited to the big race, which will give them a heck of a lot of visibility, until one of them ends up murdered. So that sets them back. So now they have to find a new driver, make up their last lead, and figure out how to work together, and maybe solve a murder along the way, and cross some real treacherous country. So we'll see if they can do it. Also, the Karmas cracked me up. I just want you guys to know that I am delighted by this name.
I like it. Who did you pick the name, or did Steve?
No,
Jackson?
I did.
Okay.
No, I picked it.
Okay. All right. Christopher Woods, and go.
Okay. My guy is from East Tennessee, and he's just recently been fired from the road crews because he's come home the third time in a row as the only one who survived a raid, and they don't trust him. So he goes home and he finds out that the girlfriend that kicked him out 5 years ago was she was ALS. She had discovered she had ALS. So she took the noble route and, broke up with him and all that because she didn't want him to have to deal with all that. He had no idea. So now he comes up with a plan. One of the prizes from amateur night in Knoxville is a Gold Cross diamond package, which gives you a Gold Cross for life. But it's also the entry package to the Dead Man's Run, which you have to sign contracts where you either survive it or you die. Those are your choices. So now they're doing the Dead Man's Run.
Okay. Survive or die. That is one heck of a recruiting poster. All right, David, what about you?
So basically they used to call this guy a legend. They used to call him Bobby Hank the Pale Rider. These days he's just plain old Robert Fulton Henry, and he runs salvage out of the Hampton Roads Dead Zone, where he's picking over the remains of a civilization for stuff he can sell to rich people to help fund the research to get his wife's life back, because that's the only thing that ever really mattered to the guy. Except he's running out of time, he's running out of money, until an old friend, sometimes rival, shows up on his doorstep and makes him an offer he can't refuse. Run the Dead Man's Run for Luxford Drummond Automotive, and they'll fund the research to get his wife cured. So Bobby recruits himself one heck of a mechanic and a pretty good driver, his neighbor, in the trailer park in Gloucester, and together they get on the road, and all they got to do is outrun several packs of cannibals, some outlaw bikers, and deal with a bunch of crappy corporate interference and make it to Memphis in 72 hours. Hence the title, 72 Hours to Graceland.
I mean, do we have to have an understanding of how cars work to enjoy this world, since we've got all of you?
No. I think that it's not so technical that if you're not a gearhead, you won't enjoy it. But there's enough gearhead stuff in there that if you are a gearhead, you'll get a kick out of it.
Okay. So I'm told the hammer solves most problems when it comes to mechanics.
Yep.
It either fixes it or breaks it so darn bad you need to buy a new one.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. So since Hillbilly was writing in the side chat, laughing that no one made it under 30 seconds, you can redeem yourself, Hillbilly, and you can ask, or you can do the 30 seconds.
You want to throw me under the bus, huh? Well, so Ricky Turner ends up signing a contract that he didn't really quite read all the details on. So he's kind of stuck in this whole loophole. And the Dead Man's Run comes along at just the right time. So maybe, just maybe, he can get out from under this contract with his dirty, stinking lawyer / agent / whatever the hell else that Johnny B is. If you know anything about Saul Goodman from what was it? Just Call Saul.
Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's a good representation of Johnny B.
That was longer than mine.
All right, and so back to the Kickstarter as we bring this home, and then I've got a fun question for you for the road. So first off, the Kickstarter is back, so there isn't the risk anymore if you guys contribute.
That's
So
awesome.
what are the Kickstarter, like the stretch goals? There we go. What are the stretch goals that's left, and what do they get when they back it? Like, what are the levels? Can you break that down for us, Hillbilly?
Okay, let's see. Hold on, let me pull it up. And da-da-da-da. All right, so well, depending on what you want to go with for your pledges, I mean, you can just toss some cash at it just because. Tipping the mechanic, you can get the basic cyber shout out, which gets you mentioned on all three Ravens websites and all that. Cyber access gets you burning roads and early access to 72 hours of Graceland. Cyber access plus gets you those, plus you get to see all of the inspirational imagery that we had to set up the deal, plus like our writing playlists and things like that helped inspire us, all that kind of stuff that helped us get into the mood to write these things. Early access to Marathon of Madness for the ebook. I set up an ebook bundle. I did kind of screw that one up, so you will get the mentions and the get included into the books and stuff like that if you get the ebook bundle. Apparently we got a couple extra backers on that. I screwed up putting that one on. I blame lack of coffee. You can get Burning Roads in print, 72 hours to Graceland in print. Burning Roads plus. I mean, there's a lot of the books. There's books signed, things like that. The real big add-ons are going to be the big parts are going to be the add-ons. You can get a Car Warriors book bundle. You can get the Car Warriors starter kit, which is the starter 2-player game version of this, with 6th edition plus Burning Roads and that you get a print copy of Burning Roads and you get mentioned in the next couple of books. Hardback bundle. Then there's the Car Warriors Full Throttle package, which is the starter kit for the game, all 4 books, 2 different shirts. You're getting stickers and bookmarks and a bunch of extra junk in there. But the biggest thing with all this is going to be the add-ons, where one, you can get Tuckerizations. So there's red shirt Tuckerizations. There's secondary character Tuckerizations. Those characters that are there doing things and they're named, but they just kind of pop in and out. Then you have primary supporting characters. So your sidekicks, your Robins and things like that. Those are available for you can back by getting one of those, and we will work with you to create your character, whatever it is. If you go out in a blaze of glory as a red shirt, then we'll work on that too, and we'll make sure it happens. And we'll find the best story to put you in, or work you with one of the writers that you really like. I mean, if you like Hensley's stuff or Woods' stuff or mine or Maurice's, then we'll work you in with that. Okay. The next stretch goal, which let me zoom back down. The next stretch goal we're going after is 5,000. We've already broke the 4,000 mark, which got us unlocked on the 3D models for Burning Roads for Sally, the Buffalo, the Black Skulls Luxury Sedan, and the Queen-tastic Battle Bus. 5,000 gets the lead Tuckerization. So it's the lead POV, the main character of a story. We will create a story, one of us, and we'll figure out who and all that. Gets the honor of writing that, and we'll figure out a story based around you as a character.
So this is the question everyone wants to know. But how much to be one of the cannibals? You could be a part-time cannibal. Oh, like a reservist cannibal, almost a weekend warrior cannibal.
Reservist
cannibals. Yeah.
Those are Chris's cannibals.
I mean,
yeah, those were my cannibals.
Well, see, like, you you could be a good guy or a bad guy in any of these Tuckerizations.
Yeah, you could request cannibal.
Just because you're a bad guy doesn't make you a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, you could absolutely be a red-shirted cannibal, and a scene opens with that POV, and here comes whatever, the big battle bus that I know is in one of these, just kind of runs over a whole crap ton of cannibals, and that cannibal happens to be there at that POV. So, it could happen.
Now, do we ever see cannibal on cannibal with the part-time cannibal and the full-time cannibals going at it?
Oh God, where's Cisca? I think he's locked in on something. Somebody show him a crayon. I need a crayon.
That's the Marines. I was in the Army.
Yeah.
Close enough.
We sniffed glue. It was totally different.
So wait, here, JR. Here, I got some mercy for you.
There you go. That cures everything. At least that's what the doc told me. So, all right. So this is the last one. All right. So that's the Kickstarter. The links will be in the show notes. You saw the commercial. You heard them talk about the world. Right now, I'm seeing 4 different trilogies being planned for a total of 12 books. I can do math. See, public school people.
That's really good.
Up to 6 trilogies.
Up to 6. Are there more authors that are potentially coming on board, or are some of you going to write more than one trilogy?
No. Well, like I said, Ben Smith was, but he's out now. I'm pretty sure Jay Barneson was doing one of the Dead Man's Run setups. I don't remember.
Michael Morton.
Yeah, Mike Morton was. He was Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's more books than the 4 trilogies we talked about. All right. So last question before we get you guys to tell everyone how they can stalk you. I mean, follow you online. We're going to start with you, Marissa, so don't fall asleep yet. If you could live in the world of the Car Wars, would you?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
They eat a lot of algae, you guys. Like a lot.
So like protein paste and stuff?
Yeah.
It's not my jam. I like
algae burgers and algae everything.
Deep fried algae burgers, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's some gross shit right there.
It depends on what I am, I guess. I mean, yeah, sure, if I got access to meat.
So no. Well, cannibal. You could be a cannibal.
There
you go.
All right. So you with enough plot armor, you would do it.
Well, I mean, dog and cat ain't half bad, so it's sweet.
No?
It's okay.
Have you seen Demolition Man, where he's in the underground area?
Best rat burger I ever had.
Yeah.
He's like, this is good. And she's like, see any cows around?
Right.
That's right up there with the 3 seashells for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And they never explained the 3 seashells, man.
I still want to know. I just don't know if there's enough drugs in the universe for me to get high enough to figure that one out.
They need to go back and actually do one more episode of that.
Yeah. Just so they can explain that.
An outtake.
Yeah. All right. So Christopher Woods, if you could live in the worlds of Car Wars, would you?
Hell no. There's no freaking way.
Absolutely
not.
not.
All right, David, you're going to be brave, right?
No. I do not want to live in a universe where cannibals can make friggin' biodiesel out of your fat after they kill and eat you.
I would be in high demand momentarily.
Thank God you said no. That's all I can say, man. Because I read about those cannibals and dude.
So what you're saying is
in that world, you were seriously messed up.
Yeah, no.
Well,
all right. Well, with that being said, we're going to go through and let everyone tell people. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, just remember, dear listener, please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. So do your part and help these fine authors get their books out there. Tell the world how awesome they are. Review them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, BookBub, all the places you buy books or review books. And if that's not enough for you, start a website and review it there, people, because you can never do too much. All right. With that being said, Marissa, how can they stalk you? I mean, follow you online.
Yeah. So you can find me at marisawolf.net or marisawolf.com. I go both ways. Or on Instagram at bookdogs. It's right there in my name. On Instagram, you will see my books and you will see my dogs. So at bookdogs, you're welcome. In the real world, you can see me at DragonCon, which will be super fun and super soon. It's the only other con I have this year.
Thursday DragonCon.
Oh yeah, Thursday at DragonCon, Hillbilly, me, and Terry Maggart will be emceeing the Page to Stage costume contest, which is going to be amazing.
Are you going as one of the cannibals?
I might. Yeah,
Well,
I might be.
You're the Dormouse. I'm going to be dressed up as the March Hare, and Terry Maggard is going to be the Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter,
I thought you were going to say Alice for a moment, and I would have laughed.
I mean, that would also be amazing. I think you could pull it off.
Maggard dressed up as Alice, just because.
I think you could rock it.
Yeah, but he's got to get the beard out first, just to go with the look. But I say that just because I'm jealous. I tried to grow a beard, and people thought I was the Unabomber, so I was just like, no, can't do it. All right, so David, how can they stalk you? Follow you on the internet. I got to get this right one day.
Someday. You can find me at davidwhensley.com. You can find me on Facebook at David Hensley Writes. And my Instagram and Twitter are D Hensley Writes.
And as usual, dear listener, all the links will be in the show notes. What about you, Chris? How can they find you while he plays some dueling banjos?
My webpage is theprofessionalliar.com.
I like it. Keep going.
And Facebook, I'm Christopher Woods, and that's about it. I've got a Twitter and I've got an Instagram, but I don't ever use it, so there's no point in even trying to contact me there.
At least he's honest.
I mean, that's right.
He is.
I hate technology.
All right. With that exit, William Joseph Roberts, otherwise known as Hillbilly, how can we find you on the wild interwebs?
Well, okay, so to answer real quick, the ad thing that you heard, the vocals doing that Car Wars ad, that is the voice of Joshua Saxon, who is going to be the voice of the Car Wars universe. Awesome. He initially did the Raven and the Crow series by Michael K. Falciani for us, and he agreed to jump on board with this. And oh my dear God, some of the scenes. I mean, I wrote gearhead sections into Burning Roads, but I'm a gearhead. I like my cars, and there's moments when, a car will turn my head quicker than a pretty girl sometimes. But I'm just a gearhead, and I had those kind of scenes in there, and the way that Joshua narrated those were just perfect. So you're in for a treat when you get around to hearing some of the audio. So you can find me at williamjosephroberts.com or 3ravenspublishing.com. I am on like 20 plus different social media platforms. Just do a search, you'll find me.
Okay, and when you want to get that restraining order, now you know how to do it. All right, you can follow us, dear listener, on our Linktree, where we link to our BitChute and our Rumble at Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. That's linktr.ee/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, where we link to everything, including BitChute and Rumble, because YouTube won't let us. We have a Twitter at twitter.com/SF_fantasy_show, Sierra Foxtrot _fantasy_show. We have an email at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. We promise we answer all of the letters. If you want to send hate mail, we have a new reader of our hate mail. It's Hillbilly at blastersandbladespodcast.com. Again, Hillbilly at blastersandbladespodcast.com. He will read all of your hate mail, and he will send you appropriately snarky comments in reply. You can find us on Facebook, where all the shenanigans happen, at facebook.com/groups/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, /groups/Blasters and Blades Podcast. We do have a Facebook page. When Doc Cisca is not wrestling dragons for a convention in Atlanta that 12 people go to, when she's not doing that, eventually we will get a dedicated URL for our page. But I do share all of our episodes there, in addition to book reviews as I find them and other nerdy content, because, that's what we do. We have a website at anchor.fm/blasters and blades. Again, anchor.fm/blasters-and-blades, where for as little as 99 cents a month, you can support the show and help keep the lights on. These episodes are not free to produce, and we appreciate all of your help. And finally, as part of the new rollout from Spotify, we do have questions that we add to each episode and polls. Feel free to participate. I keep them open as long as Spotify will let me. So right now, that's 30 days. But join the conversation, and we'll read your comments if appropriate. No Bodie McBoatface type answers, because we got to stay family friendly. You can support the show more directly over at buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast. And I promise I will keep my absentee co-hosts, Doc Cisca and Nick Garber, duly caffeinated. They will be so caffeinated they'll keep missing episodes because they're in the bathroom, people. It's what happens. I mean, they're excused later just because it sounds more professional.
It's true. It's true.
And with that being said, thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For the absentee Nick Garber and Doc Cisca, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Thank all of you for coming on the show. It was hilarious, even the videos. I think we're all even sober-ish, so we're going to rock on. Yeah. I can't speak for Hillbilly, though, but for the rest of you.
Is he ever sober? Really? Oh, my goodness.